Hey, friends and family, this is Miss Nikki's Traveling Story Bag, aka Nakaya Wright, coming at you with an original story. I'm going to call this story Very Superstitious. Okay? Now, this story is about a lady. She's very superstitious. A lot of superstitions have been passed down to her throughout her generations and her mom and grandmother and father and uncles and aunties, they've all passed them down. She never questioned it, so she just believed in all these superstitions, and that's the way she lived her life. And so on this particular morning, when she gets out of bed, what she does is she starts out her day as usual. She goes in, she showers up, brushes her teeth, and then she goes in to take her hair loose, and she wants to fix her hair. And so she grabs her mirror and she looks at it. And as she's fixing her hair, she accidentally drops the glass, pow, onto the floor. And she said, "Oh my goodness, I've dropped that mirror. I'm going to have 7 years of bad luck. Oh no, this day is not getting off to a good start." So she went downstairs, got the broom, and she began to sweep up the mess that was on the floor. And guess what? She accidentally brushed the broom, swept it right over the top of her foot, and she said, "If I couldn't have had a worse morning. Not only have I broken this glass, I'm going to have 7 years of bad luck. I swept my feet. My grandmother told me I'm never going to get married if I sweep my feet." So there goes that. 7 years of bad luck. Not going to get married. So she swept it up. She continued to get ready for work, and she was so upset as she tried to finish getting herself dressed. And she said, "Come on, I gotta hurry up. I got a bus to catch downtown to get to work on time." And just as she's going out of the house, she sees this little bird just flying all around her front door, and right inside of her front room window it flew. And she thought, "Oh my goodness, somebody's gonna die. My father told me that if a bird ever flies into your house, that either you or somebody you love's gonna die." Oh my goodness, 7 years of bad luck. I ain't never getting married, and I may die before I even get to work the way this morning is going. And so she keeps on down the stairs. By this time, she's completely upset. Her day has just gotten off to the wrong start, and she's gonna have 7 years of bad luck. How could it get any worse? So she gets on the bus. She's headed on into the building. There's two doors to get into the building. There's a left and a right door, and right in the middle is a pole. And so her and another co-worker that her co-worker friend, they're going in the door, and her friend splits the pole and goes into the door on the other side. And she wanted to grab her and say, "Hey, come back here. You split the door." Because her auntie told her, if you split the pole, well, you're going to have bad luck. Everything was bad luck. And so she just started saying, "Bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter," because her auntie said if you split the poles and you don't want something bad to come between you and that person, her co-worker, then you got to say bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter over and over and over again, so that that bad thing doesn't happen, that you two don't end up split apart. I mean, she's by this point in her morning. I mean, she hasn't even entered into the afternoon, and she's complete basket case because number one, she's gonna have 7 years of bad luck. She ain't never getting married. That cat flew into her window, so her or somebody she loves might die. Now to top it off, her and her good co-worker friend that she completely likes a whole lot, something's gonna come between them. So she said, "Okay, in order for me to get through this day, I'm gonna start. I need a cup of coffee." So she goes into the coffee room. She pours her usual cup of coffee. She needs 2 spoons of sugar. So as she's reaching into the cupboard to get the sugar, she knocked the salt bottle over. Pow! It went, and all this salt went onto the counter, and she hurried up, and she's throwing salt over her left shoulder. And everybody's just looking at her like she's crazy. "Oh, no, I'm just cleaning up this salt." And every time she touches a little, she's throwing it over her shoulder. You know why? Guess why? Because somebody in her family told her that if you spill salt, hurry up and pick some up and throw it over your left shoulder to keep all the bad luck and all the sicknesses and everything away. So here she is, starting off her day already with a prophecy of 7 years of bad luck. She ain't never getting married, okay? I mean, she may die. Uh, this salt, she had thrown it over her shoulder. I mean, can anything get any worse? Could it even get any worse, she thought. So she goes on through her day, and by the afternoon, she just wishes that she could go home, get in bed, put the covers over her head, and wake up and start all over again, like it would be a dream. So at lunchtime, she goes across the street. She's gone over there to get something for lunch. And as she's walking across the street, she sees like a wad of green rolled up. She says, "Whoa, that looks like money." So she looked around, nobody was around, and she picked it up and unrolled it, and it was $70. She said, "All right, then, my luck is turning around for the better." She put that $70 in her pocket and walked into the cafe to pick up her lunch. She was feeling better already. So she got her lunch and she moseyed on back across the street into her workplace. And she thought, oh my goodness, this day is just wonderful. And as she sat down to her desk to get back to work and eat as she worked, the phone rang and it was her brother. And her brother said, "Hey, sister, how you doing?" She said, "I'm great. My day's getting better and better. I mean, it started off really bad, but it's already turning around." And her brother said, "Well, I got good news for you to make it even better." She said, "What?" He said, "Me and my wife are getting ready to have our first baby. We just found out this morning." And she cheered and clapped. She said, "All right, so much for that bad luck bird flying into my window and somebody's going to die. But instead, somebody's going to live and a new addition to our family." She thought, okay, all right. And so she was feeling better and she's working at her desk and her headache's going away and she's not even thinking about going back to bed and waking up from this horrifying dream. Oh, and she's just going on with her day. By the end of the day, she's just feeling better. And her and that same woman that she came into the door with, the one that split the door and she had to keep saying bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter. Well, they were headed out. And her friend caught up to her. She said, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to you this morning. I was so busy trying to get to my desk." And they end up going back through the door on the same side. So she said, it's getting better and better. Everything is turning around for my good. She was so excited and happy. And her friend was like, "What happened to you today?" She said, "Well, let me tell you, it started out bad, but it's getting better and better as she goes." And so she moseys on down to the bus stop, gets on her usual bus, just feeling better and better with $70 in her pocket, a new addition to her family. Her and her coworker went back through the door at the same time. No splitting up poles, no bread and butter. Oh no. So she's walking home and she sees that window up and she thought, well, that bird must be gone because I got the good news. She went inside, no sign of a bird. She let the window down and got ready to prepare herself for the family dinner that they were going to have that night. She showered up, put on a nice dress, and fixed her hair. Didn't break any glass. No mirrors broken at all. And she went on out to meet her sister, and they got in the car and drove to her parents' house for dinner. And her longtime boyfriend was there along with her grandma and aunties, and all of the family was there. And she thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be the best evening ever. My day is just turning around. And they all sat down, and as they were eating, her boyfriend stood up and he says, "Hey, you guys, I got some really good news." And she thought, all right, it's getting even better. And he turned around, and guess what? He proposed to her. He said, "Oh, let's get married." And she was like, oh my goodness. Everything that started out bad today ended up so good. And they were like talking about what? And then she told them all. She said, "This morning I broke a mirror. No 7 years of bad luck." She said, "I found $70 on the sidewalk that turned around that bad luck." She said, "Brother told me that they're expecting their first kid," and they all cheered because they knew. And then she was so happy. And she said, and then, nobody's going to die. A bird flew into my window. And they were like, whoa. They was like, oh, her grandmother and auntie and uncle and father and them, they were going, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. She said, "No, don't be worried. It's all turned around." She says, "And while I was getting up the glass from the mirror breaking," she said, "I swept over my feet, Grandma. And guess what? I am going to get married after all." And they all laughed and laughed. And they said, "What? You believe in no superstition? That stuff isn't really true." And she says, Well, why did you guys ever tell me all of that stuff? She says, I've been believing in it all these years, trying not to break mirrors and getting out of the way of black cats and not standing under ladders. And they thought, oh my goodness, dear, if we all lived our lives believing in superstitions, why we'd stay in bed with our heads covered up, afraid to live. And she thought, you know what? Well, that's what I've been doing all this time. I haven't been living my best life because I was always looking over my shoulder, picking up salt, throwing it, and going back through doors and light poles, trying not to. And they just all got a big old laugh out of it. And you know what? She laughed too because she realized how silly it all is. You gotta stop and think about that. We're all the time people are believing in stuff they don't really even understand. It makes me think about that Stevie Wonder song, very superstitious, very superstitious, writings on the wall. 13-month-old baby broke a looking glass. I don't know all the words to it, but 7 years of bad luck. Forget a good of the past. All the good things are in the past. When you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. Cause guess why? Superstition ain't the way. Hey, hey. Stop believing in all those superstitions. Get on out there and live and believe in things that are real and true and that bring hope and inspiration, that give you the energy to keep on living and not thinking about covering up your head and staying in the bed. All right? With that, I'm going to leave you guys with that. Throw those superstitions out the way. Believe in what is true, factual. And then if you call yourself believing in something and it's a superstition, at least take the time to find out where the heck it came from. Okay? With that, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring a bell, share it, all of that. I hope this helps somebody out there today. This is Miss Nikki's Traveling Story Bag checking out. Bye-bye.